This is your Unit 5 study guide on page 19 in your packet. The directions say that M, N, and P are midpoints, so we need to find the parallel side. So down here, blank is parallel to MP. MP is right here. The parallel line to that would be RS. Over here, it says TS, and it wants to know who it's parallel to. Well, clearly that is PN. The next part says to find the missing section. If the long one is 10, the short one, QR, is going to be half of that, which is 5. If the short one is 8, the long one is going to be double, which is 16. Now this we're going to have to do some math for. So this is our long one, x plus 21. And that's going to be equal to 2 times x plus 14, our short one. Distribute. I'm going to subtract 1x, and I get I'm going to subtract 28. I end up with x is equal to -7. Now, if we were measuring something, we wouldn't want a negative, but it's okay to have a negative when we're not measuring something. This last one says find UW. It's the same setup. Sorry. The long one, 3x minus 8, is going to be equal to 2 times the short side. I'm going to pause it, work it out, and then you can copy how it's worked out because I think that you know how to do that part. So I worked it out and I got 8 equals x. But if I look back, the directions say find UW. Well, that's that line. So I'm going to take this 3x minus 8. I pulled that from right there. Instead of an x, though, I'm going to plug in the 8 that I figured out it equals. That gives me 24 minus 8, which is 16. So the final answer is 16. On this next page, we're working with angle bisectors. An angle bisector means the line is cutting the angle in half. So if angle 1 is 44, if this line cuts that in half, it means the other side is 44. It wants to know what the whole thing is. 44 plus 44, 88 degrees. This one, it tells me that the whole thing is 32, right there, and it wants to know that this part in number 2. Well, if I divide 32 by 2, I get 16. So that means that both sides would be 16. In number 9, it says how much is angle 1 how much is angle 2 if angle 1 is 16? Well, we know they're the same, so it's 16 degrees. And this number 10, it says if angle 1 is 4x plus 6 and angle 2 is 5x minus 2, it wants to know the whole thing. Well, first I need to set up an equation, and I know because those are angle bisectors that angle 1 is equal to angle 2. I'll work that out, and I end up with 8 equals x. But the question is asking how much is this whole angle? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to take the 8 I figured out and say 5 times 8 instead of an x minus 2. 5 times 8 is 40 minus 2 is 38. 4 times 8 plus 6 is also 38. 38 plus 38 equals 76. So your final answer would be 76. In number 11, it wants you to find the whole thing if angle 2 is 3x minus 7 and angle 1 is 2x plus 2. So we're going to do the same exact thing. 3x minus 7 equals 2x plus 2. I'll work it out. I worked it out and I got x equals 9. Then I'm going to come back and say 3 times 9 minus 7. And then I'm going to say 2 times 9 plus 2. Both of those are 20. So 20 plus 20. So UST is going to be 40 degrees. This next group are talking about medians. And median means that the line is cutting the line going through the triangle is cutting that far side in half. So if the whole thing is 4, it wants to know how much SC is. Well, if the whole thing is 4, half of it is 2. Same thing here. If that section is 12, it wants to know how much the whole thing is. Well, if the bottom section is 12, the top section is 12, which makes the whole thing 24. In 14, we'll have to do a little math. It tells me that the whole thing is x minus 2. It also tells me that that part is x minus 4. I know these are the same. So if SK is x minus 4, JS is also x minus 4. So I've got a part x minus 4 plus a part x minus 4 equals my whole thing. I'm going to solve that. And I came up with x equals 6. In 15, it says that GT, so that section right there is x plus 7. And it says that GR is 2x plus 3. Well, I know that those two pieces are the same because that's a median. So I'm just going to say that that piece equals that piece. So you need to be sure you know when the two parts are equal versus when you use a part plus a part equals a whole. So to do this one, I get x equals 4. We're doing the same thing on this side. We've got our medians. Rx, that first section is x minus 2. And RW, that section is 2x minus 8. I know that those two are the same exact thing, so I'm going to say 2x minus 8 equals x minus 2. I'm going to solve that. I ended up with x equals 6, but the question says to find Rx right there. So I'm going to take that 6 and write, let's write it with the pen. 6 minus 2 equals 4. So your final answer is that 4. Now we're going to switch gears and we are going to talk about, we're going to order the sides from shortest to longest. So that means I look at these numbers. I know that 53 is the smallest number. It is across from SQ. That means SQ is the shortest side. Now, the next one would be a 63. That is across from SR. So that's my middle length, which means that the longest is a 64, which is across from QR. So that's how we order the sides. You have to read the words. If it says side, it means you have to put 2 letters. This next one is angles from smallest to largest. That means my answer is going to be angle and a letter. So 11 is my shortest side. It's across from angle F. That means that F is the smallest angle. 12 is the next smallest, and it is across from E. When I say across from, I mean it's not touching. You see how this red angle does not touch this red line. The last one we know is the 20, and it's across from angle G. Shortest to longest. In number 19, this is when we say that the two shortest have to add up to be greater than the longest. So this is 12 and 12, so I'm just going to pick one of the 12s. I'm going to say that the two shortest, 12 plus 12, has to be greater than 12. Well, 14 greater than 12. That is true. So yes, these measurements would make a triangle if I had sticks that long. In 20, my long side is a 10, so I have to say 7 plus 3 has to be greater than 10. 10 is not greater than 10, it's equal, so those pieces could not form a triangle. This next one is an 18. 7 plus 10 is going to have to be greater than 18. 17 is not greater than 18, so those guys could not form a triangle either. The last one on this page is I'm trying to figure out the options of what different sizes I could have to form a triangle. So I can say 9 plus 6 is going to be greater than x. 9 plus 6 is 15. It's got to be greater. 15 is going to be greater than x. Or I can say 6 plus x is got to be greater than 9. So that means x is going to have to be greater than 3. And if I did the last one, I would say 9 plus x is going to be greater than 6. X has got to be greater than negative 3. We can't have a negative measurement. So I'm going to say that the x is going to be greater than the 3, but less than the 15. And that's your final answer. Flip over to the last page. On this page, we're just going to draw what it describes for us. So, a mid-segment, it means that I find the middle piece on this side and the middle piece on this side. I draw a line. That means that that piece and those pieces are the same. On a perpendicular bisector, bisector means to cut in half. I'm going to cut this bottom piece in half. Perpendicular means makes a 90-degree angle. That would be a perpendicular bisector. An angle bisector, I'm just going to cut my angle there in half. I should probably do it a little better than that. We'll pretend like those are the same measure. A median means that, A median means that I'm going to cut this line in the middle, but it's got to come from the angle. And the altitude, think of an airplane, is the height. So I'm going to go straight down to get a perpendicular line, and that tells me the height of the triangle. Good luck on your test.